It's time we give back. Sow a seed and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform, where we showcase urban superheroes here in the Bronx and around the world. Today we have a very special guest, my dear friend from my alma mater, Drake University, Mr. Gregory Sain. Today, Gregory's going to break it down to some young men about the importance of education and the importance of being positive people. Without further ado, my good friend, Greg Sain.
Good morning. Good morning. And let me just say this. I'm sure some of you all probably feel like you don't want your cameras on because you're not dressed up, etc. But if you got on a shirt and etc., I would love to see your faces. I would love to see your faces. So Mike and Elisha, show me your face. Turn your cameras on so we could see you. I understand because sometimes I feel like I need to turn my camera off, but turn your cameras on so we could see you. I think that interaction and that glow from you is very important. So if you can, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for turning your cameras on. Elisha, turn your cameras on so we could see you. You got that great Apple telephone. I know you got all kind of cameras and all kind of stuff. So turn your cameras on, Elijah. Turn your cameras on. You probably say, my hair ain't combed, my so-and-so. Don't worry about that right now, but turn your cameras on. But let me just start off by thanking my dear friend, as he called me a dear friend, Hosea. Oh, sorry about that. Hosea, we went to college together, and the work that he has been doing for quite a while is so important. And I have to tell you, our spirits, little brothers, connected way back in college. We ain't got to go into our age, but just know that we've been friends for a long time. And he actually have experience, relatives. He's been traveling here to Chicago. So it's not an accident nor a coincidence that we have connected. But I have a special message for you all this morning. But I always like to start off by really thanking God. You can call him by many names, but the creator. And we should always, don't be ashamed to tap into our spiritual self and thank God for another day of life. And thank God for your family. Thank God for all of that you have. And don't be afraid to express your spirituality. Don't be afraid to express, and we're going to talk about that as we talk about what is male empowerment. But then don't ever forget your ancestors. Don't forget those that paid a price. Always try to remember and thank them and realize that we would not be where we are and who we are without being on the shoulders of so many that sacrifice for us. And that's why sometimes people get a little angry when they know, they say, man, you got potential. Man, you could do it, because they know where you came from. They know where we came from. I know all of those, Hosea knows all of those that made a difference in our life. And every mentor, every big brother, dads, uncles, people from the village, and fortunately, many women, many women, if it were not for the woman, the man, we would not be where we are. So we owe gratitude to all of them. And I just like to let you all know that when this campaign of giving back, each one teach one. So this is not something that, what comes out of my heart and out of my mouth, yeah, uniquely, but I am actually trying to model individuals who did the same thing for me. The same thing. I've taking young men on the trip, but somebody took me on a trip to a camp. And all of that was to try their very best to let me see, not just expose me, that somebody cared enough, and they wanted me to care more about myself, because we live in a time and times when I was coming up that there was still absenteeism of fathers in the household, and just for a number of reasons. I'm not going to get into that. That's why it's so important, and I love Brother Hosea for creating this platform. And this platform is really about, when you talk about giving back, it's really about being human. Whether you black, white, red, psychedelic, you are male species that have a job to do. I mean, we're gonna talk about respect. Respect your mom, respect the female, respect the woman, respect womanhood. But we're gonna talk about respecting self. So today, I want to kind of focus on it. I'm not going to be long. When I give graduation talks, it be 7 minutes. I don't go over 7, maybe 10 minutes. But today, because we want to hear from you. There's some questions, there's some concerns, and you could put some of them in the chat box, but I don't want to deal with the chat now. I want to hear you verbally express yourself. I want to hear you talk about your experiences, but I want to talk about decision-making skills as it relates to peer pressure. And I think all of you all know decision-making skills, meaning making certain decisions, like you decide, I want to take care of myself. You decide, I want to be healthy. You make a decision. I want to be healthy. But now you talk, I want to be healthy. Well, Michael, for instance, Michael is a ball player. And all of you everybody else on the line, I want you to express, and you could put it in the chat, or I want to hear it, because I think I want it to be interactive, but I want to use Mike, since Mike already said that, Mike plays ball and etc. Now he might have some goals, and not might have some goals, but some ambition to make it to the pros, play college, etc. That might be just a track that he's on. He make that decision. Academically, he got to take care of business at school. He got to have a certain grade point average. And, if you live in my household, you got to have a grade point average and other responsibilities if you want to stay on the team. But you made a decision that that's what you want to do. So what do? You practice, you learn the game, you study, you do all of that so that you could be successful. Like, for instance, when you look at, say, video or film of the other team and just seeing what they look like and et cetera, you preparing to defeat them. But you made a decision, Mike, I want to be a professional basketball player. And so I say this to Michael. Say, Michael, and this is never to discourage you. I say, but now I told a group of young men, I said, your chances of going to the pros is like being struck by lightning. He said, what? I said, well, only 2% of those that are graduating and come out of college eligible for the draft actually make it into the pros. So if it was 30 young men and they all got drafted, only 2% of them would actually sign a contract to play in the NBA. So then my question to the other ones is, if you don't go into the NBA, some of them go overseas and make a lot of money and still playing basketball. They save their money, they build, they invest, they do things. So when they return from basketball, they still got some lives. I mean, they still have some things in a life that they can live from the money that they accumulated playing overseas. So my point this morning is the peer pressure that's out there that takes you off of your path. And they do. We've been young before, and they're folks who we like. They cool. but they not always doing productive things. They not always doing positive things. And so we have to make a decision. Not that we uh, uh, are criticizing them and throwing them under the bus and none of that. But when you care about your life, then you start making decisions that will impact on your life. Therefore, you can't just lay around, not study, don't go and read books, don't exercise, don't eat right, because if you're playing ball and you get a certain weight, that's going to affect you on the court. So everything that you decide to do, you got to think about how would that affect my goals, my objectives, what the things that I want to do in life. And I'm going to tell you this, there are a lot of negative influences out there, a lot. Television, there's so many things that you hear and see. One of the things that bothered me a lot is I can't believe that a lot of people say they care about us, but they let certain music get into your ears. But then you have to decide. You can listen to some of it. I know they do a lot of cussing. That's what I'm gonna use the word cussing. But y'all, we call it profanity, right, Mike? Right, Elijah? Right, Joel? We know, and others. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna curse. Doesn't mean that you're gonna drink. Doesn't mean that you're gonna smoke. Doesn't mean that you're gonna be a so-called game banger. It doesn't mean that you're gonna be disrespectful. But they there. You can make the choice. And I don't know why somebody would look up to a person that's doing some non-productive things or destructive things, but it happens. And we know there are young men right today that are doing good academically. They good young men, but some kind of way they begin to start acting out. I've gotten calls, and parents would say, "You know what? I don't know what has gotten into so and so, but they not doing their homework anymore. They don't clean up their room. They very disrespectful. And every time I talk to them about life and what they want to do, they real negative. They don't want to have the conversation." I say, well, what happened? Did somebody influence them? Or do they think it's cool to shut down? Do you think it's cool not to communicate? And I'm gonna say this to you all. Don't be afraid to be yourself and show love, show kindness, be a gentle giant. Don't always feel like you got to play tough, you got to look tough, you got to walk tough. Toughness is knowledge. See, the smart person attains knowledge, and that's good. But the wise person pass knowledge on. The wise person continues to get that knowledge, but they share it with others because we want to empower you. This empowerment series is about empowerment. And what do we mean about empowerment? We talking about being strong. We talking about being relevant. We're talking about being a leader. In your own right, you are a leader. And I think Mike and Joel and Elijah, my son, all of you all and others that are listening to this, you got to really understand that the world awaits your leadership. Your leadership is needed at the Capitol. Yeah, your leadership is needed at the White House. Your leadership is needed in the mayor's office. Your leadership is needed on the Senate floor. Your leadership is needed in the college campus, on the college campuses. Your leadership is needed in the NBA. Your leadership is needed in a household. Your leadership is needed on the playground. Your leadership. And don't wait to think that that's just going to come. You already a leader. Many of you all are already leaders. You're already doing great things. And we're proud of you. We are very proud. Matter of fact, some of you all, we don't know what tomorrow brings, but we know that some of you all are destined, if not all of you all on this line, to be that individual that people look up to for the right reason. And so peer pressure is out there, fellas. And I don't know if you want to raise your hand if you don't really understand what I'm saying, but as it relates to making good decisions, there's always people in your ear. There's always people, and your mom and your dad and your relatives, your uncles, they want to know. And the first thing they say, who you been listening to? Who been talking to you? Because you know better. You know better. You know that is not what we do. And then if you sitting around, and I understand because my mom used to have to get on me. I'm living in the projects in the Robert Taylor home, and my mother, she would say, you've been taught better. And you know that is not what we do. And that if she heard me saying things, repeating things that I heard other people saying, knowing that it wasn't right, my mother would check me and say, no, you was raised different. You was raised in a whole different way. And if your daddy, if your grandmama, whoever, and if I catch you, like I caught you now, and if I do it, catch you again, then I'm gonna have to punish you, or I'm gonna have to just, and when my mom said punishment, she always took away some stuff that I like doing. So it's like, you off the team. I was like, oh, heck no, let me get it together. But sometimes little brothers decide that they want to play tough, and they go like now in Chicago, brothers. And don't let me forget this. I wanna ask you all a question. What did you think about? And I know you've had to see it on TV or hear it in conversations or read it in the newspapers about what happened at the Capitol, that insurrection. I'll tell you what an insurrection is, a riot is. I tell you what terrorists are, and what that means, domestic terrorism. I'll tell you why we just witnessed a man who is the epitome of the worst kind of, and I don't even want to use leadership with his name. People call him 45. But you all need to know that, our brother Barack Obama, he's really shining now. I mean, he's shining more than he's ever shined, because they really thought that this guy that was in Mr. Trump, but look who they were listening to. Remember what I just said? Look how that just correlates what I just said, Mike. When you listening to somebody, you do some stupid things. And all of those people who were listening to another person who was acting irrational, racist, destructive, wicked. Now, all of them losing their jobs, bad decision to go there. Going to jail, bad decision to go there. Reputation ruined, bad decision. Some of them getting divorced. Their wives are divorcing them. Their children don't want to have nothing to do with them. Just because, you say, no, just because they made a decision to get on the airplane, to drive, to go to Washington, D.C., and to boot storm the Capitol as though they could do what they want to do, paying a heavy price for it. Was that a good decision, Mike? Was that a good decision, Joel? Was that a good decision, Elijah? Was it? Tell me. See, that's making a bad decision. Listen to someone that don't care about your future. But do you care about your future? Because when you hear somebody saying things that you know are not right, do you have enough courage? Do you have enough manhood? Do you have enough love for yourself to say, oh no, I gotta depart from you. I can't even say I'm a follower of yours. I can't even say I support you when I hear what comes out of your mouth and I see your actions. So all of those folks at the Capitol right now are catching pure DHELL, all of them. And then people lost their life. That's why you got to really understand that when you growing up in a household and you know right from wrong, then you don't listen to people like that. You don't listen to anyone, even your friends, if they talking about cutting school. if they talking about carjacking, if they talking about, hey man, I'm a BD. He's like, are you a who? I'm a BD in Chicago. I said, you know what a BD is? I didn't know what a BD is. When they said, I'm a GD, I said, well, BD is a big dummy. That's what that means, ain't it? It's like, I said, well, a GD is a greater dummy. They was like, oh, Mr. Sain. I said, you not a dummy, son. The behavior is dumb. You a great person. You just being weak. You letting somebody influence you in a negative way. That's self-hatred. That's self-destruction. So I want you to get this, and then I'm done. I'm done. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I'm done. I want you to get this point. And this is what I want to leave you all with. Whatever you want to do in life, and you want to do something in life because what you're wearing, the clothes that you're wearing, the fashion, how you wear your hair, the shoes that you like, the games that you play, the television programs that you enjoy, the food that you eat, all of that, the sweets that you love, the cake and cookies, and the barbecue sauce that you love to put on your fries, and all of the stuff that you like, the pizza that you can eat a whole big extra large pizza by yourself, all of that stuff, all of the laughter that you get, all of the videos that y'all be on Snap, Crackle Pop, what is it, Snapchat, whatever you call it, and all of the stuff that you all like, somebody sponsors that. Somebody sponsors that. Are you going to just wait on somebody to keep sponsoring stuff for you? What about when they stop sponsoring it? What about when they stop putting food in the stores? Are you going to grow your own food? Can you grow a tomato? Do you believe that at some point you're going to have to begin to look at how can I do what I need to do to survive? So, and I'm going to say this, don't no one owe you anything. I know you say, well, I'm just a kid and I'm young, so I expect you to buy me this and buy me that and get this for me and get that for me. You got to put yourself in the position to where you can get it yourself. And that's going to be the real deal. How do I get it myself? How do I put myself in position to where when they're not able to, when mom or dad or whoever slows down and they need my help, am I preparing one day to make decisions that I will be able to come back and help them like they are helping me? That's the importance of sessions like this. We must let you know. And I think the majority of you all on this line, you are razor sharp. You are absolutely amazing. We love you. We admire you. We think the most high of you, but we don't want you to take your eye off the prize. We don't want you to go to sleep. And we definitely don't want you to lay around and think that all of that you're enjoying, somebody's going to continue to give it to you. No, you got to make decisions right now that will impact on your life later. Peer pressure is real and it comes in many forms. Don't be a victim of peer pressure. Make the right decision, stick with that, and don't let nobody take you off of your path. That's my message today. Don't let yourself, because you start thinking like y'all heard this term. My mom and Hosea know it. Y'all probably ain't heard it. And if you did hear it, you say, what is mom and them talking about? And they say, all right, now you starting to smell yourself. And what they meant by that, if you've heard that term, is, oh, so you think you running something. You think you grown now.
Yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one. Yeah.
But I love you all. I love you all. Look, every time I speak, I'm done. I always say, I love you, I love you, I love you. Stop being afraid to show love. That's keeping us from being successful. Don't hide your love. Express it. I know, because they got us thinking we got to be all hard. And you know, your mama speak, good morning, son. You be like, hey, mom. You know, now I'm not saying I'm changing your voice tone. All I'm saying is learn to open up and be appreciative of all of the things God has blessed you to have in life, and show more love and kindness toward other people. That's what makes us the greatest people on this planet. Love. If you don't love, I don't care if you're a pro, I don't care if you a rapper, you're gonna end up having some of the most destructive problems because you're not balanced. So with all of the talents you got, all of the skills and abilities, show some love.
Okay, I wanna thank you, man, for those words of wisdom, brother. Clearly, you brought some valuable information to these young brothers today, and we are blessed, truly blessed, to have had your words of wisdom that are so important in these times, and the young men that are listening live, and when this show goes viral, it'll be some information that is definitely needed and will be used and shared. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform. And before we end, let me just let you know that I have finished my very first book, Reach Your Community. To get more information, come closer, even closer. Right there, you can scan it with your phone, and it'll get you all the information as it relates to the book and how to get it. And remember, if it's in your heart, do your part. Today's help equals tomorrow's hope. I love our youth. Power to the people.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.